every day after I pick up the kids, park in our driveway, we go over to the left where they're doing construction. And every day it's incredible to see. They're pouring the cement, they're bringing small little tractors to fit to the backyard and smooth out the sand. The windows are being put up, all the insides are being gutted. And it's fascinating to see the process of something being built. But whenever I watch, I always think, it's interesting that they call themselves construction. Most of the work that's being done is destruction. It's tearing down the old wallpaper, it's tearing down the sheetrock, uprooting the cement that was there, taking off the steps, taking down the porch. It's so much destruction. Why is it actually called a construction company? And I realized something very interesting. The house was very, very well maintained, right? It was an older couple that used to live there, and it was an old house, but it was in no way a bad house. But the new owner said, you know what? It's a good house, it's functional, but we want to make it a fantastic house. We want to take this up a whole new level. And in order to do that, we're going to have to tear it down. We're going to have to take down the things that in the 1960s were the hottest items, but in 2018 probably belong more in a museum than in a house. And we're going to rip it apart, almost down to its foundation, and we're going to replace it piece by piece to make it more beautiful. And when you look at the process, it's fascinating because in order to build something else has to be destroyed. And that's hard. That's hard because sometimes you think why do we have to destroy? Why can't we just patch it up? And the truth is you can. But then you end up with a bunch of patchwork. Yeah, this wall doesn't match that wall. This chair doesn't match the other chair. The steps are a little bit uneven. You can have it. It's functional, but it's not perfect. And a lot of times getting to that perfection really requires dismantling and starting all over again. I remember a couple of months ago we were putting up a tent in my backyard and it was all up. And for some reason it was slightly lopsided. Totally functional, but a little bit lopsided. And we're sitting there, should we just pretend we don't see it? If you put your head a little bit like this way, it kind of looks straight. Yes, no. We took it down. Why did we take it down? So I'll tell you, San Diego doesn't have crazy winter storms. There was nothing that was going to suddenly blow it down. But if we wanted it to last, if we wanted it actually to be stable, to serve the purpose it's meant to, we had to take it apart and start again. And the process it's pretty excruciating because it's really not fun to have just finished a huge project and look at it and say, not good enough. We're taking it apart. We're taking all the screws out, all the bolts, taking off the awning, and we'll start again. But we're willing to start again because we want to create something more beautiful. Yirmiyahu HaNavi, Jeremiah, the prophet of doom. Yet he comes to the Jewish people and has to tell them the worst news. Everything he prophesizes or prophecies is just a whole bunch of doom, one after the next, things that no human being wants to come tell another person. And Yirmiyahu says to Hashem, I didn't sign up for this job. I don't want to do it. And if you look at the first chapter, Hashem tells Yirmiyahu HaNavi, you're going to be a prophet that, yes, will come laharos ula'abed. You're going to come to destroy, to destruct. You will be a prophet that unfortunately will have to give over so much destruction. But I want you to keep in mind that the only reason you're going to say that prophecy is lintoa, to be able to plant all over again. To be able to clear that field of all the weeds so that you can put in seeds that will actually produce something beneficial to the world. The destruction is only because you're going to bring something better to the world. When I was dating, people would joke and say, you're a Hasidic girl from Borough Park. You're marrying somebody from San Diego who's Sephardic. You understand it's going to be a little bit different? I said, yeah, I understand. I eat chicken soup, he eats chira. Yeah? Okay, I understand. It's a little bit different. We hardly eat anything on Pesach, aside for 5 items. He eats rice on Pesach. Okay, it's different. I get that. It's different, but in the end of the day, we're all the same. People are people. About 4 months into marriage, my husband came home one Friday night, and I was sitting by the Shabbat candles just crying. And he looked at me and said, what happened? I said, nothing happened. Okay, is this a trick? So why are you crying? I said, I'm crying because I'm overwhelmed. We're 2 individuals who are trying now to fuse. And it's not about the chicken soup versus the chira, but we have 2 very different ideologies. Yes, it's one Judaism. Yes, it's one Torah. There's one Hashem. That's where it starts and ends. But after that, there are a lot of differences. There are a lot of differences ideologically, culturally, halachically. And in some parts of me, I remember the first Rosh Hashanah that I prayed. It was magnificent. But the second day I told my husband, now I have to go to a synagogue that I actually feel like it's Rosh Hashanah because I'm just in a fish out of water. And what I realized is for us to match, it's not just about making sure the food tastes the same, it looks the same, and our houses are decorated and familiar. It's not just, I buy $400 linen in Borough Park and my husband says, why don't we go to Target for $29.99? It's about dismantling our ideologies piece by piece and being able to examine it and say, is this true? Is that true? And it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's not a Sephardic versus Ashkenaz. It's not a San Diego versus Borough Park. It's what's true and what isn't. And being able to take ourselves apart to reconstruct something bigger and better, it's difficult. There's a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of chocolate. But in the end, and we're not at the end, so I can't tell you, but I know that this process of being able to build something cohesive where Hashem, the Torah, mitzvot, and halacha, and what's right and what's wrong, that's what matters. And putting that piece back together, it's an art. Because being able to take things apart is very easy. It's really easy to destroy. The question is, can you destroy so that you can reconstruct? Can you disassemble the 1,000-piece puzzle because it was put together all wrong? Or are you going to end up with a broken human being? It's a challenge. But I'm asking you, I'm on that journey. And the more and more we journey together, the less afraid I am. Because I realize that it's not about destruction as much as putting things back together to come to one cohesive unit. And I guarantee you, if you look at your life, and you'll start disassembling piece by piece the parts that aren't working, the parts that are working, and putting it back together again, you're going to end up with something even more beautiful than you started. Just remember, taking things apart is not as scary when you know the process is just to rebuild to make something even more magnificent.